So welcome everyone to this business research training in Nexis Uni. We have Lynn Smith here today from LexisNexis. She's a training consultant with them. She has a law degree and master's degree in library studies, and she's worked for LexisNexis for over 20 years and has conducted countless training webinars for students just like this one. So we're really excited to have her here for Library Week, learn all about conducting business research in Nexis Uni. So take it away, Lynn. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia, so very much for giving me this opportunity. I'm going to apologize to everyone. I'm going to take myself off of camera. I just find it sometimes, especially when it gets to be later in the day, my computer tends to have its own mind and wants to do difficult things on me. So usually I find that when I take myself off of video, I don't have as many issues. But I want to thank you all so very much for taking time out of your busy day to join me. And as Julia indicated, we will be talking about doing research, business research, company information research on Nexis Uni. Now, I just want to make you aware that on Nexis Uni, you will have access to over 16,000 sources, news sources, business, financial, company, legal. But today, what we're going to focus in is on business, but we're going to also take a look at news information also, because people forget that you can get a lot of great information within the newspapers, news sources that deal with, a company. They're going through a merger, what's going on with things like that. So we're going to it's going to be primarily business, but I am going to also talk about how news resources can be a great resource also when you're doing research on a company. So what we're going to start first with is we're going to start with this main search box. And I like to tell people all the time that this main search box is powerful. It is powerful because you can perform a number of different tasks using this search box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with one of my favorite companies. Just going to type in my Coca-Cola. And, as I like to remind people, if you're looking for an exact phrase, please put that exact phrase in quotation marks. I'm also going to say or Coke, because we know basically one and the same, their primary product is Coke. But, a lot of times when people refer to Coca-Cola, it's Coke, but we know that the formal name, of course, is Coca-Cola. Now, one of the things I want you to be aware of is that the date default for our product is previous 2 years. But in the pull down, you have the capability to search all available dates. You can create your own date range. We you can customize your own dates. I'm going to go with all available dates. And the default for searching is all content types. But in that pull down, you see that you can specify, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to specify company for company's information. And I want you to be aware that we have company profiles, we have industry analysis reports, mergers and acquisition, SEC filings. These are the 4 major categories in terms of searching company information within Nexis Uni. And the reason I'm pointing out that Nexis Uni is something that we're going to talk about, give me a couple of more minutes. So what's nice is if you wanted to, and you said, you know what, I only want to take a look at industry analyst reports, you can do that. Or maybe I want to do in conjunction with SEC. But what we're going to do, or what I'm going to do, is all of them all at the same time. Click on my search. I do want you to be aware that there are no document retrieval limitations for this product. So if you do a search and that search brings back, let's say, 30,802 documents, yes, you may view all 30,802 documents. What I'm going to start doing at this point in time is I'm going to start to page down. And as I start to page down, do me a favor and look to the left side of the screen. because what you're going to see here, what we like to call our post-search filtering options. You could have set certain criteria at the beginning. Like I said, we could have selected companies and then said, you know what, I want to do mergers and acquisitions and only look for mergers and acquisitions, or maybe mergers and acquisitions and SEC filings. But if you don't do it before you conduct your search, it's not a big deal. Over here to the left, if I click on category, this is going to give us a breakdown of those 4 categories that we saw before. So what's nice is if I want to see information just for my company profiles, I can click on company profiles and it will go get information just from company profiles. And at this point in time, I also want to point out sources, and this would give us a breakdown of, sources we retrieve documents from. But what I want to point out is, just kind of take this moment and point out, for example, what I'm going to do is go into this first document, which is a Hoover's in-depth report. And we're also going to take a look at some individual publications because, as I try to explain to people, there's so much information on this product, and sometimes individuals not always aware of all the different types of business content that's available. So here we have that Hoover's, in-depth report. And, I'm a big advocate of Hoover's in terms of the related information you can get for Hoover's. And this is giving us, a nice little list of all of the, executives. So what I love about Hoover's is, number one, that nice business description. You're going to get operations, sales and marketing, financial performance, their strategy, mergers and acquisition. But more importantly, sometimes you need to understand the history of a company. Also, not only do we have the Hoover's company reports, we also have the Hoover's industry snapshots. So within a Hoover's company report, you can link to those related Hoover's industry snapshot reports. So this is kind of showing you those industries that Coca-Cola has a relationship with. So if you wanted to go and click on food manufacturing, click on that hypertext link, and that would take you to the information about that particular industry, an overview of the industry. Who are the key companies? What industry classification codes fall underneath this particular industry. So I wanted you to be aware of that, but I want to take this opportunity. And a lot of times, sometimes people know that they want to search a specific business title or source. And so I want to discuss that. For example, you just saw we had Hoover's, because it's nice to be able to search companies and all company information or a certain type of company information. But there are times where, guess what? I want to search, Hoover's. I want to search direct knowledge. I want to search Zacks Equity Research. I want to search SEC filings, but I don't want to search all SEC filings. I know I'm just looking for those annual reports. I know I'm just looking for those quarterly reports. So if you know a source that you're interested in searching, you can use this search box to find and select a source or sources. So I'm going to start typing Hoover's. And as I'm typing Hoover's, the system is trying to anticipate my needs. It's like, okay, is Lynn going to be typing, doing research on, Hoover? I'm thinking of former President Herbert Hoover, and I accidentally typed the letter S. Or is Lynn looking for a particular source or a document meaning a legal document. At this time, I am using that search box to find and select a source, and one being my Hoover's company in-depth reports. Also, another great source that we have available, Reuters Knowledge Direct. I'm going to tell you or take you into this great source. It's a great source for me, especially for financial information. Like I said, I like Hoover's because Hoover's is really great for giving you, a description of that company, the historical aspect of the company. As you saw, you can find like the strategies, but in terms of financial information, Reuters Knowledge Direct is a great source. If you're looking for information, analyzing stock information, we've got a great publication called Zacks Equity Research. So one of the things you can do is you can use this search box to find and select one source or multiple sources. They don't have to be from the same content type. So if I wanted to search these three sources in conjunction, as I told you, we will be taking a look at news sources because news sources are great in terms of, keeping you informed on what's going on with a company. So, if I wanted to do that in conjunction with the New York Times, I may, but we're not going to put in the New York Times. I'm just going to do it. So, I'm trying to think of it. I've got another source, but the name is escaping me, and this happens sometimes when I'm ahead of myself in my process of thinking. And we're going to. And another great source I want to make you aware of, corporate affiliations, basically showing you relationships between companies. So I just kind of want you to be aware that in terms of searching our information, you can be very broad and say, look, I want to search all company information. I don't care about the category. Or you can specify a category, and you can do more than one. But if you know the source or sources, you can also specify. So what I'm going to do is going to go ahead and run the same search that I did before, but I'm going to also introduce you to a concept of searching in a few seconds. So let's just go ahead and I'm going to run this search. So on our left side, remember we have our post-search filtering options, which will allow us to filter down, narrow down our search results. So if I click on category, you see we have information from company profiles, and then we got our, analyst reports. So I'm going to click on the analyst reports. And in terms of the source, they're pretty much coming from this Zacks Equity Research. And I just want you to be aware that the default for sorting is relevance. Trying to give you the most relevant information first. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sort by date, newest to oldest, because I want you to be aware of something. Right now, when I did my Coca-Cola or Coke, I was doing a full text keyword search. I was saying, go out there and find any documents from these four sources that mentions Coca-Cola or Coke. And if you notice, the system even does some truncation for you. So I want to take this moment and introduce you to a concept, and we're going to bring it back to the default page, back to the home page. So just kind of bear with me. We're going to go back to the default page, the home page. And at this point in time, I'm going to click on the advanced search. And with the advanced search, I can search all, I can search news, company and financial, legal. I'm going to go to my company and financial. And once again, we've taken the business information and broken it down by different categories. So I'm going to go to my, analyst reports. And what we just did, as we saw, was full text keyword searching. And full text keyword searching, as I like to remind people, is a blessing, but it's also a curse. It's nice that I can say to the system, go out and search every single publication, every single document for the word Coca-Cola or Coke, but it will bring you back documents that are not necessarily truly about Coca-Cola. It mentions Coca-Cola or Coke, but it's not truly about that company. So one of the things we give you the capability to do on this product is what we like to call segment searching, better known in the librarian community as field searching, because we know sometimes the placement of a search term will make it more relevant, will make it on point. So I'm going to select this company name, and in my box, I'm going to type in that Coca-Cola. And friendly reminder, I just always like to remind people looking for an exact phrase, put that phrase in quotation marks. And at this time, just checking. Oh, the list, yeah. So I'm going to put in that Zacks. So the system's going to find it, so I can just search it. And I'm going to run this search. So this way, I am getting truly those reports that are about, Coca-Cola, more importantly, the Coca-Cola. So here, click on that document. But what I want to point out what's great about this source is that we give you a nice little summary, but more importantly, we can get the actual PDF. So I'm going to click on that. And Julia, please confirm that the PDF is showing up for you all, that is sharing.
Yes. Yeah, okay. We can see it. Thanks.
Perfect. Always a little leery sometimes. So this way you get not only the text, but all of these wonderful graphs and charts. So that way you can get the true analysis of the report. So I'm going to go back. So keeping that in mind, let's go back to our default page, our home page. So once again, we got our Hoovers, and I did the in-depth report. Reuters Knowledge Direct. So I'm going to do that same search I just did 5 seconds ago, but I'm doing it on the default page, the home page. As I tell people, as you get comfortable using the segments, using the fields, you don't have to go to the advanced search. So right now, I'm putting in that word company, and then in parentheses, my Coca-Cola. So this way, I know that I'm truly getting documents about Coca-Cola. We know that the proper name is the Coca-Cola Company, but you may not necessarily always be thinking of it in that sense, but this way we would get all of those documents, whether, it's, Coca-Cola bottling company. So once again, this way we know that these are truly going to be about a company being Coca-Cola. So once again, in terms of our categories, I'm going to go to company profiles. And then this way we can look at a specific source or sources. So let's go into that Knowledge Direct, Reuters Knowledge Direct. Like I said, this is one of my favorite resources. Just quickly I saw that Coca-Cola Company, which I want to make sure, that because sometimes I know it is the Coca-Cola, and I just want to, make sure with the name. Yeah, we're going to go back to that one. Yeah. So Yeah, Atlanta, Georgia. So this is great in terms of, yeah, so let me just kind of take you. So here we're getting, its address. More importantly, its ticker symbol. As we go down, incorporation date, where it's incorporated. As we all know, most major corporations were incorporated in Delaware because Delaware has such great laws for corporations. They're corporate friendly. But what's great is here's a list of all of the officers and directors, their ages, but more importantly, once again, a description, their industries, competitors, who are the major competitors, and once again, hypertext links, so you can link to information about that major competitor. So if we want to get information on, Kraft Heinz, click on that hypertext link, and it would take you to their report. But we're going to go back to Coca-Cola. So, but great, I like this for the financial information, balance sheets information, liabilities, breaking it down for you, ratio analysis information. So great financial information. Here you got it from the income statements. So this is just one of those sources that is included that I try to, when I'm dealing, when I'm conducting a webinar on business, I try to highlight great sources that, can be buried sometimes because, you're searching all of the company information, historical financial information. So this is just a great source, like I said, when it comes to financial information. Now, within Nexis Uni, there is, within the product, as we saw over here, a company component, great company information. But we also give you access to one of our corporate products. So what I'm going to do at this time is I'm going to click on menu. And when I click on menu, I get a list of different options. I want to point out this option called Company Dossier. I'm going to click on Company Dossier. At this moment in time, we have left Nexis Uni, and we've come to a separate product called Company Dossier. Company Dossier is one of our corporate products. This is a product that Fortune 500 companies pay for, that your academic institution and you have access to free of charge because you have a subscription to Nexis Uni. Company Dossier covers over 200 million companies, publicly traded, privately held, domestic, foreign, international, the whole gamut. And in terms of looking at this information, we can find a company, we can create a company list, we can compare companies. And many of those sources that we saw within Nexis Uni are included in Company Dossier, but Company Dossier also gives you some additional resources. So the thing I need for you to understand is that this is a separate product. Because it is not an academic product, you will not have citation management tools. In Nexis Uni, and we will take a look, just keep in mind that we have some wonderful citation management tools to help you with citing information. This particular product does not have those tools because it is one of our corporate products, and our corporate customers do not need citation management tools. But the reason I always point out Company Dossier is twofold. Any business students on this class, on this webinar, this is a product that you're utilizing in your academic career. This is also a product that you're going to see in your professional career. Also, I like to say Company Dossier is very helpful for, I like to think outside the box, a graduating senior that has a, oh yes, and business instructors, thank you. You too. Company Dossier is also good for thinking outside the box. I always tell people, yes, 90% of the time it's going to be utilized by the School of Business or by your business department, meaning students taking business class, but more importantly, faculty members too. But I like to say, trying to think outside the box is also very helpful for anyone that may have a job interview and they want to get information on that company. So I'm going to kind of spend a good bit of time talking about Dossier because there's a number of things that you can do. So number one, find a company. I just want you to be aware that these are your options. Meaning, yes, if you know the company name, you can put the company name in. If you know the ticker symbol, you can put the ticker symbol in. But if you do not know, that's okay. And I will explain. So I'm going to go ahead and do ticker symbol. I'm going to do my KO, Coca-Cola. So what's going on behind the scenes with Company Dossier is that in one click, without even realizing it, without even knowing it, system is going out and it is conducting, essentially over 60 different searches, and it is pulling all the information it can find on Coca-Cola for us, or the Coca-Cola company, in a nice, pretty package, I like to tell people. So we have an overview, but what's critical is all of the additional information that's over here on the left side. So the overview, you get a nice overall description of Coca-Cola. We see the number of subsidiaries, its annual revenue, who its CEO is, who is, number of employees. We also can see, stock information, employee ratings information. So, and some news content, but what's critical is, what's nice is information over here on the left side. So for example, if we went to that company information, we see the brands. So we want to see all, Coca-Cola brands, the competitors. We see who the competitors are, that corporate hierarchy. We just told you on the overview, that quick overview, that Coca-Cola has 156 subsidiaries, a breakdown of its hierarchy, where if you want to see the true breakdown of Coca-Cola hierarchy, just simply click on these boxes with the plus sign. And as you are clicking, this will give you the true company corporate hierarchy for Coca-Cola. And what's great is if you want to get any information on any of these divisions, subsidiaries, they're links. Just click on it and it would take you to, relevant information. Also, what I want to point out is company history. And this is coming from D&B, Dun & Bradstreet. So sometimes with a company, you've got a company that has had growth over the last couple of years, or you may see a company that has been declining. So if you want to do a comparison of a company, over the last, 5-6 years, or maybe basically this information goes back to 1993. So if I went to take a look at, how Coca-Cola was in 1993 and 1990. What's going on? Okay, there it is. It accepted it in 1994 and compare it to what's going on in more recent years. This will allow me to compare it. Everything from, their number of employees to, my computer's having its own little mind, to sales, assets, liabilities, brands, so this way you can examine that company. Another thing I want you to be aware of is executive contact information. And one of the things that's nice is next to the individual's names, it's a little symbol for LinkedIn. There's a relationship with social media, but more importantly, professional social media. But financial overview. So once again, we got a nice graph. If I want to jump to, let's go to our balance sheets. So this is giving us that information, and I'm going to go down very slowly. Because one of the things I want you to be aware of, this type of information you can download into a nice Excel spreadsheet. Let's go to income. Because sometimes I'm just trying to make sure so once again, what did I tell you? A great source I like for the financial information. That's where they're pulling this information from. Sometimes you may see an additional option that says older data so that you can get additional financial information. Once again, SEC filings. So, but let's go back to do a new search. So I told you that these are your options. Like if you know the company name, that's great. If you know the ticker symbol, that's great. But you can also use it to create a company list. Yes, we're going to use this component of create a company list, but I can do it here. It's not as, you don't have as many options, and I will do a comparison. So for some reason you go, you know what, I want to give a list of what type of companies. We get very specific, or try to get as specific as possible, from, all parent to all private to parent public subsidiary. So if I wanted to, I can say, you know what, I want private, but the parent company. And remember what I said that this product covers over 200 million companies, publicly traded, privately held, domestic, foreign, international, the whole gamut. I'm going to edit. As you can see, from around the world, I'm going to go for North America. I'm going to go for the United States. Say okay. And here, I can select one state, or I can select multiple. So if I wanted to do California in conjunction with its next door neighbor, of Oregon, I may. So I'm going to do my state of Missouri. I'm going to put in my city of St. Louis. I'm just checking the chat, making sure. So I'm going to click on search. So right now, I've just created a very basic list of saying, I want to find all of those companies, and I'm going to click on view all, basically private parent in St. Louis, Missouri, in the United States. So if I want to get information, just click on that hypertext link and it would bring back information. Because remember, 200 million companies. I always like to remind people, think about the New York Stock Exchange, think about the NASDAQ, think about the FTSE. The FTSE is the London Stock Exchange. You're getting into, thousands and thousands and thousands of companies, but not millions. So I just want you to be aware that a majority of these 200 million companies will be privately held companies, everything from the large companies to the small companies. So just kind of want to point that out. I'm going to go ahead and go back. And so I'm going to go to create a company list, and create a company list will allow you to get a little bit more specific. Because right now I was just very broad, saying this type of company in this particular geographical area. With create a company list will allow you to get more specific. So I can say, yes, once again, I want my private parent. You know, you can put in sales, you can put in revenue, you can put in number of employees. So depending on what it is that you, the researcher, you're trying to accomplish, you're trying to achieve. We also can put in a specific industry classification code based on the North American Industry Classification System or the SIC code. So if you're not, you know, you need help with that, what would be the appropriate industry classification code to use? We provide a lookup. And you have one or two options. You can basically find or explore. I tend to use the find. So I'm just going to simply type in my beverage and click on find. And what the system would do for me is that it's going to automatically go through this classification structure and tag those that are the word beverage in that industry. And what's nice is here we see beverage manufacturing. I see that box with the plus sign. I can click on it, so it will expand. So this will allow you, if you, the researcher, wants to get even more specific with the industries. So if I wanted to select some more, I may, but I do want you to be aware, you know, this will allow one, if they wanted to get a little bit more specific. So. And you can unclick the ones that you do not want. So I'm going to say, okay. And this is going to paste those industry codes in the box. And one of the things you can do is the system's going to be looking at the industries in terms of the company's primary industry and the company's secondary industry, how, you know, it's classified. So you may want to say, just bring me back those that are primary. So, you know, that's truly their industry that they're in. But if we wanted to, we can also search, you know, add information for the business description, if you know an executive. But what I like here is the geographic restrictions you can do. Once again, global information, North America, United States. Okay, so I can select, once again, one state or select multiple. But what I want to point out is I'm going to select Missouri. And if I want to, I can do counties, cities, and we saw the city before, but we did not see county, postal code and area code. I like the postal code. I like the area code for two reasons. Think about major metropolitan areas. I like to always use Chicago for an example. Think about zip codes. Zip codes are a nice indication of what part of a city is commercial versus residential. Same thing with area codes. You know, certain area codes, especially in major metropolitan areas, especially those older ones, you know, Chicago, that 31312 is pretty much downtown Chicago. Yes, there are residential, of course, properties within downtown Chicago, but downtown Chicago is really more, you know, commercial businesses. So just be aware that in terms of, you know, a geographical area, sometimes, you know, certain areas of that city will be more commercial as opposed to residential. So you have that capability. But, you know, counties, if I wanted to, you know, well, let's just do Chicago since I brought that up, Illinois. You know, Cook County, of course, is one of the, you know, the largest counties in the United States. So here I'm saying, okay, I want, you know, those private parent companies. Here are all my industries. And like I said, you can put in additional information in Illinois, more importantly, Cook County. Create my. Okay, I did this for a reason, and that reason is there's certain parts of this product that it's kind of like there's a set number that it initially shows you so that you can kind of get a gauge. Here it's telling us we got 3,342. Right now, we're only seeing 10. So the question becomes, you letting me know that I've got 3,342, but right now the list is only 10. It kind of interrupts and says, okay, we just want to make sure you want all of this information. So we want you to customize in case you want to go in and add some additional information. Like if you want to add, for example, that secondary SIC code, if we can find the assets information, but also you may want to change the sorting. Maybe you just only want those by, number of employees. So just want you to be aware that when you're in Dossier, certain aspects of this product, when you get more than a certain number of documents, it will kind of interrupt and say, I need for you to kind of, clarify. Do you want, provide you an opportunity to ask you for additional information? Is thinking, because one of the things that you can do with this information is download it, the results list, to an Excel spreadsheet. So it may be one of those things where, yes, I do not want all, 3,342, but I could have said, yes, give me all 3,342. So, this way we can download, this information if we wanted to into a wonderful, nice Excel spreadsheet. So that way, if you wanted to manipulate the information, you may. I'm going to go back and we're going to talk about compare companies. And this will allow you to compare publicly traded companies. So if you read this little description, which I always like to point out, this report will compare balance sheets, income statements, ratio information for companies that are listed on one of the U.S. stock exchanges. So it's got to be a publicly traded company because essentially, I'm probably preaching to the choir, so I do apologize for that. As you know, basically, when it comes to companies, there's two types of companies: privately held, publicly traded. I'd like to remind people, of course, that those privately held companies do not have that same obligation as those publicly traded companies, which is, we're going to take a look at reporting information to the SEC, Security and Exchange Commission. Because with publicly traded companies, we want to make sure you as an investor, you have the capability to be fully informed about what company you are investing in. So I just want you to be aware that you can put in a company name or you can put in a ticker symbol. So just want you to be aware the order that you put the company names in, that is the order that is going to be doing the comparison. Okay. So because I just put in, certain information, it will verify that information. It will say, okay, if we can find more than one associated with it, we just want to make sure that, that we got the right company for you. So I just kind of want to point that out, that it will give you, just in case this one. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay, I do apologize. I know we were working on some things earlier today, and I got this message. So basically, I'm going to try to come back, looking at the time, and try to do it again. I'm going to give it a moment to think. But let me go back to Nexis Uni. So great. Two ways, like I said, you got your Nexis Uni, you got your Company Dossier. But we know that we can search SEC filings. I can search all SEC filings, but I do want you to be aware that we can search, if you wanted to, just the 10K. And select that. Or you can search just the 10Qs, which are those quarterly reports. So yes, you can search all SEC filings, which is wonderful. But once again, as I tried to explain to people, we try to give options depending on the end user. You may have that faculty member that says, I need for you to go out and find annual reports and just annual reports. Yes, it's nice that you have the capability to search all SEC filings, but that means that's giving you everything from the 10Ks to the 10Qs to the Form 4s. That's going to be all of the different types of SEC filings that we have available. Not only do we have the reports, but we also have the exhibits, things like that. So I do want you to be aware that if you wanted to, you can specify that, what my faculty member said, just look at 10Qs and your reports. I'm going to look at just that. I can search just that source. I like to remind people, because people do not always think about this, that news sources are a great source of information when it comes to companies. I live in St. Louis, Missouri. And because I live in St. Louis, Missouri, there are certain companies that my local newspaper covers. Why? Because they have a major investment in our city, in our community. And if you've ever been to St. Louis, just want to remind you that Anheuser-Busch is headquartered here. A plug-in for Anheuser-Busch. If you come and visit, please go visit the brewery. And what's nice is after you visit, they give you the opportunity to have a beer or two on Anheuser-Busch. They have a very smart marketing gig. It's after you see the tour, they give you the opportunity to taste different beers. But these are beers that they're thinking about bringing to the industry. They've got a great, I always like to say they got a great market group or test taking group, that they give it to you for free, but I mean, you kind of pay for it because you pay to see the brewery. But just kind of want you to be aware that you can get some free beer, but really not free because, like I said, you bought a ticket. But my point is that anything that happens with Anheuser-Busch, anything that happens in Boeing, in St. Louis, it's covered. We cover it because that particular company has a major impact. So anything that happens with Anheuser-Busch, we want to be aware of it in the St. Louis area. So I want to clear this. So I'm going to type in a few years ago, Anheuser-Busch, there was a merger. So like I said, there was a lot of, tense moments in St. Louis about, what was going to happen with being that we were the headquarters of Anheuser-Busch. This is where that beer originated. So I'm going to just select news content. And once again, in terms of our news content, you got newspapers, wonderful news wires, press releases. These are great sources also when it comes to a company. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm talking in merger. That's what so I want to find those documents that are going to be talking about Anheuser-Busch and the merger. So great source, news wires, press releases, especially when it comes to releasing of companies' financial information. We've got wonderful industry trade press, trade publications. So once again, I can just pick certain ones, or I can search all of them. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to search all of them. So, just going to sort my documents. Once again, default is relevance, but I'm going to do date newest to oldest, because once again, we can have documents that are talking about Anheuser-Busch and merger. But once again, this is a great time. I want to introduce you to another segment, another field in terms of searching news content. I'm going to go to my advanced, go to news, and the two segments that I love to search are the headline and title, one and the same. So this way we know that it will truly be addressing that, Anheuser-Busch and merger. So I'm going to do my headline. So this way we know that this information is truly going to be about Anheuser-Busch and, you know, a merger of some sort. And even though we see I was trying to find something quickly in my and let me go to another one. Just want to point something out to you all. Oh. What I'm looking for is just to kind of give you a nice example of the system is only looking in the headline, the title, and no other part of the document. That's the reason why I love that the search terms are in bold and highlighted by gold, because it makes it easier to find. Do one more, and then I'm just gonna so Anheuser-Busch is mentioned. This is what I'm trying to get to, but it's not in bold. It's not highlighted by gold because we told the system to only look in the title, the headline, with the concept being search terms mentioned that headline. We know it's going to be more relevant. We know it's going to be more on point. So like I said, a lot of people don't realize how much news information can be a wonderful resource in terms of finding information out on a company also, because, you know, one of the things that they do is, you know, when their earnings, so if I did Anheuser-Busch, I'm going to get rid of the mergers and do my, earnings report, that information is released. So, here they release earnings on Thursday, or to release earnings on Thursday. So you can get, information about their earnings and things like that. So a lot of people forget just how important news sources can also be when it comes to doing research on a company. Okay, so here they release their earning results. That's what I was trying to get to. So you can see, what the information is. So just kind of want to highlight news is also a great resource. As I said, we've got a lot of wonderful business, industry, trade publications. So I'm going to go to menu. I'm going to go to all sources. And here we have a nice little alphabetical and numerical listing of all of our sources. And you can go go basically page by page, but nobody really wants to do that. So one of the things we can do is search within sources. So I'm simply going to type the word beverage and click on my search. And what the system's going to do is going to do two folds, everyone. Number one, it's going to look in the title and find those publications with beverage in the name of the title. So beverage industry, food and beverage news. So like I said, these are those great industry trade professional publication. Now I'm quite sure somebody's thinking to themselves, why the heck did the British baker come about? Well, what I'm going to do is click on these three dots. And one of the documents or one of the things you can see is get company information, which would basically be the source description. So it's telling you what the coverage is, it's telling you, how often it's updated, but more importantly, it's giving us a description. So this will also include information on food to go, snacks, hot beverages, and the, soft drinks. Because one of the things you have to remember is there could be a great publication about the beverage industry, a great publication about the fashion industry or the marketing industry, but beverage, fashion, marketing isn't in the name of the publication. So it's not only looking in the name of the publication and finding those publications with beverage, it's also looking in the source description. I'm just going to do one more just for a show and tell. I'm going to type in fashion. So somebody's doing some research on the fashion industry. Well, we all know, at least in the United States and pretty much worldwide, Vogue is the fashion magazine. No, fashion isn't in the name of Vogue, but if you know anything about fashion magazines, you know it is the leading fashion magazines. So I just want you to be aware that the system is not just looking in the title and finding publications with that industry or market, but also the source description. So what's nice is if you wanted to, you can add all of these or you can pick and choose. So if I wanted to search Esquire, which is a wonderful men's fashion magazine, add to search in conjunction with my the O magazine, Oprah's magazine, just click on add to search in conjunction with Vogue. So here I'm able to find publications dealing with that particular industry, that particular market, and I can pick and choose those that I want to search. So right now, if I was to conduct a search, I would only be searching those three publications that I selected. So I want you to be aware that yes, on this product, of course, we have those wonderful traditional business sources from Hoover's, Dun & Bradstreet, but we also have news, which is a great source for business, and, professional trade publications, magazines. Okay, I noticed the time. There's so much information, and I was trying to give you a sense of what's available, but let me stop talking and let's see if there are any questions, concerns, or comments about what I presented on. Let me go back to the chat. I was trying to follow the chat along. Here we go. I'm not seeing anything in the chat. Well, first, I want to say thank you so very much for your time. Thank you so very much for your attention. I also want to quickly point out this question mark. If you click on it, we've got some wonderful onboarding guides. But more importantly, I'm always conducting training. But what I love about your academic institution, I want to thank Julia and Brian. They always invite me to do training, webinars for your academic institution, which I truly appreciate. But in case you can't, you need some additional training, if you click on Nexis Uni events, upcoming webinars, they're all free. And hopefully I'm sharing this information. So I'm constantly doing webinars. So here's the ones that are upcoming. But also I want you to be aware that we provide recordings. Like today, I just did one on ESG, which is, we got some great ESG information, which is critical for business also. How is a company in terms of their environmental, social, and governance. So, there's a lot related to business that is on this product. So I just kind of wanted to point out the fact that, we do always offer training. We have recordings. I know Julia recorded this, but you got a number of different options when it comes to training and trying to learn about the product. So Julia, I just want to thank you and Brian once again for giving me this opportunity. I truly appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much, Lynn. We really appreciated having you here.
All right. Well, thank you all so very much. And I always like to remind people, if you have questions about not just Nexis Uni, but any of the databases, do not hesitate to reach out to your librarians. They're very knowledgeable. They can assist you. So, as one librarian, I know what your librarians, their knowledge, their expertise. So, do not hesitate to contact them.